Hello. Let's bring everyone else on. That'll help. Guys, you can unmute now, guys.
Right.
Okay, cool. We're all here. Welcome to Asterix and the Magic Carpet. As you may notice, we've got a guest today. We have Hopswatch has joined us. I'll just say I suspect most of my my subscribers already know you, Hops, but I don't know if you want to just take a minute or so to just introduce yourself in case anybody doesn't know you.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I am Hopswatch. I've got my own YouTube channel. I'm also on Twitter at Hopswatch1. I am doing beer reviews, and while doing so, I'm also doing secular activism, bit of LGBT stuff, some sciencey stuff, bit of satire, and politics, which is actually, secular activism is actually a way to say that you both speak about politics and religion. So, yeah, pretty much. So that'll be me. Check me out on YouTube, Twitter, and some other platforms. Cheers.
Okay, I've got links to Hops's channel and in the description. I just remember I've got to put my banner on and say a big thank you to my patrons, Gary Priestley, PJ Smith, and Dog, who's in the chat. I know Hops, you know Dog, I know. So,
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
we know each other's friends pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah.
By the way, I am actually launching a new video at 5 o'clock today, CET. That'll be 4 o'clock p.m. UK time.
Okie doke, cool. Oh darn, we'll probably be on Ring's stream, but we'll watch it afterwards.
Cool.
Oh, but yeah, because obviously it's I'll plug that as well directly after this. We'll be on Media Musings on One Ring's channel, and we're going to be finishing up talking John Wick today because we had such a good time talking about that last week. So, okay, guys, Asterix and the Magic Carpet. Noodle, get your opinion first. What do you think of this one?
I like the plot. I love the landscape artwork. And I know that at least one person in our audience is going to love this one because the puns, just so many puns. As usual, it has its issues, but I like it. I think it's, for an Asterix book, it's very good. We get another story, this one, that's more focused on Cacophonix again, which was fun last time and is fun this time. So, yeah.
Okay, Hops, I know you've read this before, so you've but just especially you had to read through it again or something. What's your take on this book?
Well, I read it yesterday, and I actually remember it as the one Asterix book that I noticed came out when I was little, because I mean I remembering having it between my hands when it was brand new, the same year or something, or maybe a year after it had come out. So I knew there was this is my before and after moment where I'm actually noticing when albums were coming out, but they were coming out very rarely after this one. But anyway, the one thing that I love the most about this album is that Cacophonix plays such a big role, because he's actually my favorite character of them all. But usually he's just a gimmick in all the other the other cartoons. I mean, I don't remember the. By the way, I'm also from Denmark, so I don't know all the names of the Gauls. The Smith and the Fisherman, who are always fighting, they usually play a bigger role in these stories than Cacophonix does. Still, Cacophonix is always mentioned at the beginning of each story, where all the characters are introduced. Which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only other time I really remember Cacophonix really being a part of the plot is Asterix and the Normans, and where it's kind of one of the things where they're out a lot of the jokes at his expense again, because it is about how awful his singing is. But this but where he's going today, his art's going to be a bit more appreciated but for should we say slightly different. Not necessarily because it's great music, but it has a strange effect on the atmosphere, shall we say? So there's a teaser. What Noodle? Do you want to do the sharing, or do you want me to do that?
I will do it. Let me just go back to page 1.
So I say you've already got it in. You've already got it in the
Yeah.
in the street. So okie doke. Right, I'm gonna have to go to this on my screen as well. So I want. So this is weird because I always have to flip between the chat and the chat between the StreamYards and my actually, I'll tell you what, it might be easier if I grab my tablet. Actually, no, I won't bother. I'll just do it here. It's just flicking tabs all the time because I can't always see you whilst I'm reading this. So, okie doke. So we start off. It very much picks off where we left off last week. Because you remember the Romans it got burned to the ground by Brutus, didn't it? The village.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few that has a continuity from the previous one.
Yeah.
Like a distinctive, like direct continuity.
Yeah.
Because generally they all seem to sort of stand alone a bit more.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed as well, this would be a theme going through this book, is there's a lot of callbacks to previous Asterix albums here. Yeah. In this. So they're having a bit of a toast at the moment of you also want to do...
Sorry, just cleaning my glasses.
Okay. So we see here we have Romans burned our village to the ground. See Asterix inside, obviously. Caesar ashamed of what they'd done, rebuilt it. Fair enough. That doesn't mean we're all friends, though. We're all square. And he was saying that I propose a toast to rebirth of this magnificent symbol of resistance to the Roman Empire and paying suitable tribute to the last bulwark of the liberties, our great Gaulish days. So I say to you, and I just thought that Romans rebuild our village, Asterix. You get the feeling of it. Has he forgotten already?
He's clearly been taking speech-making tips from Caesar.
Yeah.
He's very friends Romans, lend me your ears, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
By the way, I'm already now going to open this because of what Asterix is saying. Because I kind of said I wanted to do something when we were going through this album. So
are you really going to do that?
Yeah, well, I only said I would drink, so a small mouthful each time, but I should have enough in this 0.775 bottle.
See, I was thinking of joining in that game, but I got to do ring stream later, and I don't want to be completely.
I might join in anyway. I might join in anyway.
I might grab a beer later for the stream. I'm on coffee and water at the moment, but And is that my old friend Donna Taylor in the chat as well?
Doesn't it?
Yeah. So I did have to say, I do have to say, I'm assuming that's who it is. It's one of my old friends from real life there, because we don't get to see. Fortunately, because of the pandemic, we don't get to see people so much these days. So, but I have to be careful with the Donnas here because. Atheist Donna's about somewhere, lurking somewhere in the chat as well. So, so yeah.
If we're gonna do this, then
yeah.
If we're gonna do this drinking game, Hops, I'll join you.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's your first one. Remember, Asterix likes watching them, and when. Obelix threw them many years to prove they could stonewall too.
There we go. Drink.
I'm not doing an entire shot each time. I'll fall over.
No, I've got. Hold on. Just so you can probably see it on there. I do have scotch here, but I'm just going to it'll be bad if we just try and do this to every pun.
I'm on knockoff. Aldi Baileys, so
it's I mean, the amount of puns in this, you could drink something like Skull Lager and get wasted at the end of it. That's how many puns are in this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I do like the fact that they're like saying that we got brand new huts, and one of them said, "Yeah, I wouldn't have minded a spot of that modern architecture." For instance, some of those villas in the Gallo-Roman style,
Drink again, Hops. Here we go
Right.
again. Roman
Right.
Poland, simply ruinous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It might be easy.
Why did I say I wanted to do this?
I think I don't think you should do that for like every single pun there, because there's sometimes several on one panel.
Well, I might miss a few anyway when they're so plentiful.
Yeah. So that's why I propose health, and it's and we get Cacophonics start singing. I will say, I think you're reading the same one. I will just warn people, the PDF for this one that we got isn't the greatest. We got the best one we could find, but
but it is a bit wonky.
Yeah, it's a little bit wonky. Sometimes it's bits of the pages are cut off. It's so, but I don't think it's not so bad that
we can. There's no pages cut off it. They're all joined up. But
yeah.
To be fair, by the end of it, me and Hobbs might be seeing them looking straight.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it could very well end up that way.
So here we go.
I love the fact that vital statistics is. You remember Cacophonics lives in the treehouse, doesn't he? Always has done. And he threatened to cut the tree down. So I can't even try out the acoustics of my new hut. And he just starts to chop it down, and then you see a little figure in the corner there. And again, it's a bit weird because of the page, but there's a little figure in the corner there. You just plonks down to the floor there, and you get this question marks. And so, there's definitely It explains. This guy clearly looks like he's clearly like a guru from India. What's his name? It's the way they.
What's his name? The fakir.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah. Drink. I was flying overhead when I heard inhuman noises. I became unbalanced, and if you notice something here, there's a bit of a theme here. That it started raining when Cacophonics started singing. That's going to be a theme of this.
Yeah,
very much.
That is the theme of this book.
One thing that I can't help noticing is that the Indian guy has glasses.
Yeah.
It's a bit anachronistic, isn't it? Not that we would ever see that at all in an Asterix album, like
I
never.
do have to say, the entire presentation of India in this album is really anachronistic. There is
there is. It is indeed, and
hugely conflated with Arab nations as well.
Yes, to take one example, a fakir is actually an Arab ascetic and not an Indian one.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. But I mean, this is kind of a theme in French and Belgian comic tradition, because in Tintin, for example, you also have fakirs, and they are also always from India.
This conflation of India with Arab nations that I imagine it probably started out as a misunderstanding somewhere and just took on a life of its own. That's the charitable.
Yes, that's a charitable version, and it's interesting how white people just lump different cultures, which are very, very different, together as if it was one.
Yeah.
It's also an interesting phenomenon, but more than anything else, it's pretty damn annoying.
Yes, it is, because we know it all boils down to when it's no longer entirely politically correct to hear them say it, but you will hear people say occasionally, "Oh, you all look the same to me."
Yeah. I will actually say that I did laugh my ass off of. I got a Chinese work colleague who said that to me. So, all you bloody English look this. So I like the fact that he had enough sense of humor to turn that back on us.
Right. I've seen some black people turning it on whites as well.
Yeah,
so,
I've turned it back on people a few times.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually saying a Noodle just before you joined, before we went live, Hops, because we were sort of saying that I think some of the cartoonists from Charlie Hebdo must have been fans of Uderzo, but it's just speculating. But
yeah, we'll see later on when we see some of the other characters that were introduced. It's a very similar style.
Of course they were. I mean, every European cartoonist, comic book artist is probably to some extent a fan of Uderzo. I mean, he had such a huge influence. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Right, he's okay. So where is he? He's and when they're asking him, "What do you mean you were flying over the village?" And it's like, okay. And the chief's wife comes on. I've just found this behind the far side door, and it was a carpet. So,
who's this? What's his name? What's his name?
Yeah,
I think that deserves a drink.
Drink.
But we don't need to drink when there are repeat puns.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so. I think we got to have. We've got to have some sort of law rules here so that nobody gets alcohol poisoning. I mean, you say it yourself in every video, Hops, drink responsibly, you know.
Right, exactly. I have to live up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least try.
Then, now the women arguing over who gets to keep the carpet.
Yep.
I
should get it because I'm the, I should get it because I'm the chief's wife, I mean, I got to say a couple, and then of course, well, that starts leading to a fight between the fully automatics geriatric unhygienics. Poor got one in the face, and then they start fighting. I love this. I had to be, didn't it? They had to get. This is a great one to put in there because Cacophonics singing "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head."
Are we counting that as a visual pun?
We can do that.
Well,
when in doubt, there's a pun. Drink.
When in doubt, drink. Yes.
Yeah. This is So I used to hear that song on the radio all the time. And it wasn't until years later that I found out it came from a Western. That song. So
it's a Mancini song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably most known for it's been in the soundtrack for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Okay,
it's not something, but I mean, that's a bit different formula from the average Western film in its own right, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the thing. The gods are with me. I've dropped on this very nice village I was looking for, and was the village of madmen where a voice makes rain.
Right.
So, where are we? Okay.
I actually like the story that he's telling about an ex-legionary going to India. That could have happened.
Yeah, it's
it's entirely possible given the trading links and what have you at the time.
Yeah. I mean, we certainly know Alexander got into that part of the world. I think there's no doubt that there would have been. I think the two cultures would have probably been aware of one another. I think.
Yeah, they were trading. They were trading, and we know.
Yeah,
that.
they were definitely trading. I mean, the Romans were trading with China, so they're not going to not stop off at India on the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be madness. and you had the Persian Empire just north of India as well. So yeah, they were all really a lot more interconnected than I think we assume.
Yeah, I'll just say hello to Jen as well in the chat. And by the way, Jen, thanks for updating our intro, Jen. That was very kind of you. So now, so were you looking for this village in particular? He says, I come from a distant. Yeah, so you get the story about the legionary. And the women are still moaning about the carpet here. This is my carpet. I'm not budging. If you say so.
And he sits on it, and it starts floating.
Yeah. Mummy!
Mummy!
Yeah, I can't quite read what's on that bottom panel there. I'm sure there's a pun. I'm sure there's a pun, but it's kind of cut off on that panel. So so
I've heard tell of these strange powers of these fakirs before. They can concentrate hard enough to levitate whatever they like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
so here we go.
Is that a common sound to make when you're about to get sick in English? Ugh.
Oh, it's more that sound, isn't it?
Yeah.
More of what sound?
It's more a sound of rather than ooh. To me sounds like Frankie Howard.
Yeah.
Because the Danish translation was has them burping actually and pointing to them being nauseous from the trip.
Yeah, it's
really a nausea thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, we might, what we do with this sort of stuff. We might have to do Up Pompeii at some point. Noodle. Frank Howard. Yeah,
I've got Up Pompeii on DVD actually.
Yeah, we might have to do that. We might have to do that sometime.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah.
And that's what it's either Frankie Howard or it's kind of Midland farmer in his wellies and his overcoat. What that I hear when I hear ooh.
Yeah.
That's more ooh farmer boys. You
mean my accent, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. So he's asking about that's a amazing trick with your carpet. All in a day's work for a fakir. And I like the fact that Obelix, could you give me a ride? We could go boar hunting and a stout party for my carpet, but I'll take you up on it.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I think that it was that pun, or more like that cluster of puns, that made me say, I'm going to drink every time there's a pun in this one.
Yeah. This is the thing, that it's always clusters of
But
Dog says Up Pompeii is stomach pumping territory. Yeah. If you're gonna apply these rules.
We're gonna do puns for that. Yeah, we're gonna need about 10 bottles.
Right.
Yeah. But okay. Ooh.
Okay, so arranging a meeting to come to the village.
Yeah.
And then Obelix, I'm counting that pun as part of the last one.
I would do. Yeah, I would do.
Sorry.
So, yeah, they're inviting him for a bite to eat because he looks too thin, apparently. And he ate 3 weeks ago.
Which is enough to just come over by the thought of going 3 weeks without food.
Well, if nothing else, it does show Obelix's why am I forgetting that word now? His capability of being empathic.
Yeah.
Empathic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Obelix,
he is
looking at his eyes, looks like he'd be okay for 3 weeks. But I think the thought might actually
Amiga Nuts is saying drink or toke. Fortunately, I don't do that. Don't do that with streaming because in the UK they might get a bit funny about that. But
yeah, because in the UK it is technically illegal.
yeah. So
Um,
so he explains to me he's come from the the kingdom that lies outside of the Valley of the Ganges. Our climate is hot, dry except for a few months of the year when the rains fall, watering the crops. The monsoon season, basically. I love his fact.
This guy is. Am I the only one? That's such a British thing to do. Just arrive somewhere and start talking about the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. It struck me as a very odd thing for him to do.
Also, I'm thinking, are there any Indian immigrants jokes in this that would be picked up by British, but not by me necessarily?
Not really.
I don't know, but a lot of the time, I sometimes when I go through these again, I might pick up on something that I didn't notice. When you go through it the first time. But they might very well be in there. I don't know. But so he's saying that we may have offended the god Indra because the monsoon season will soon be over and we haven't had a drop of rain. Yet the dry season will be back, making it, basically they're going to get a famine if they don't get rain soon. Is the
that's
and our good King Raja what's it
drink, especially with the name of the princess as well,
and the sweet, lovely Princess Orangeade. That's We'll get through these, so I think we'll because we'll try and count all of these as one pun on these panels, okay? And then the guru who speaks with the gods who done it declared there'd be no rainfall before the end of the season, 1,000 hours. Basically, he's saying the princess would have to be sacrificed to appease the wrath of the gods.
And this is the first very potentially problematic assumption about Indian religion.
Uh-huh.
And that artwork isn't exactly it's very Jafar, isn't it? It's got
it is a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a bit.
It does play into a few stereotypes.
Just a few.
Just a few.
Also, there's the 1001 hours bit, which is, of course, a reference to 1001 nights. Fairy tales, which are, again, Arab and not Indian.
Yeah. Conflating the two again.
Right.
So I love the chief side. Even if your Raja doesn't, hold the reins of power, don't see how we can help. I think I do. Our visitor wants to borrow the bards for his singing. Will bring the rain, even in an Indian summer. Are we gonna count that or not? I don't know.
Would have fallen over if we counted everything in the last 4 panels.
Yeah, I think we got to temper this a little bit. I think.
Yeah, we do need to breathe.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cacophonix has a new string on his lyre these days. Yeah.
And Cacophonix all offended at this. How dare you say I make it rain? It's not true.
Listen to this. The raiding, and then they make it rain inside the chief's hut.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
The rain falls mainly down the wall. I didn't pick up the melody the first time, actually.
Yeah. There's always it's always I like the fact that there's always like pop song references in or popular music song references in his songs.
But I mean, Obelix does have a point. Impedmeter's obviously lost it all the water on the floor, but it's not every Gaulish hut that has running water.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Though to be fair, if the Romans built it, the odds do increase.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I mean, it's some, not the apartment blocks, but the individual villas and houses would have had individual water supplies. We see evidence of that at Pompeii.
I love the exchange between vital statistics and what's his name here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I promise to bring back your bard very soon. No rush. No hurry.
Yeah, singing will take them by. That's definitely a pun.
Yeah.
Right. And also, it'll be a smash hit as usual.
Yeah. Well, he's got his great big hammer behind his back because we know what he normally does to.
It's funny how kind these two guys are to him now. They usually are the first ones to beat him up when he sings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
here we go. Oh, Obelix.
Taking a few in-flight provisions. Yeah. I love it.
I mean, back in the days before you had to throw everything away when you went through security, we all did it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, those were the years where I was flying the most, I think, even.
Yeah.
Because, in-flight food.
It's not. It's
any
not
bottle. It was insane.
Yeah, in airplane food is not exactly known to be the finest cuisine in the world, is it?
Yeah.
No, you can't say so.
No. I don't know what they did to that. I was on a flight to America once, and I don't know what they did to that poor piece of meat. I think it started out as a chicken.
Oh.
I'm not sure what it was by the time it got to my little plastic tray.
Yeah,
I will still say when I flew to Moscow in 1994, the food we got on the plane there was far from the worst I've had. The worst I think I've had on British Airways, and the best I've had was with China Airways.
British Airways food, like you can be the best flyer in the world, but if you eat British Airways food, you are going to get airsick. That's the experience anyway.
Right.
They absolutely are. It's Avianca wasn't particularly great. That was the last time I did a long flight anyway. And there was a mixture of some stuff that wasn't so bad, and then some just purely awful stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I will say, Dog's talking about school dinners in the chat, and I've had better school dinners than airline food.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're agreeing to stop off whenever Obelix wants, which means we're not going to get to where we're going for about 40 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, look, Obelix, Gaul's even be more beautiful from above. I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this. I feel inspired now. I'm airborne. I will now give you a hypnoc, coffin. Not the time. It's the carpet gets unbalanced. It will let us all.
Yeah.
So lovely view. Obelix causes our first. This is. I'm going to say the magic carpet isn't necessarily the safest form of air travel either.
It doesn't seem to be, does it?
Nope.
Oh, poor Cacophonic's hanging from the tree there. This another pun. Drink up.
Where?
I thought I'd never see you again, he says, but we'd never let you down.
Yeah.
Of course.
If this was written a couple of years later, exactly what that would have become.
Oh dear. I've just seen the next panel after this. Obelix, I'm hungry. I could see a little chef down there. Okay, that's very much a British joke. So.
Very British joke is that.
I have to admit I'm not getting it.
Okay, that's little chefs were like a there's not many. I think they're not all but gone now. I think there might be one or two left, sort of, but they were like this big chain of like roadside like cafes and
Okay.
that were that every service station had a little chef kind of thing. I mean, they'd just be, anywhere on a long road somewhere, there'd be a little chef. It was
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It was a thing until very recently. I think it was only in the last 20 years they've really disappeared, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think there was a TV show based around a guy stopping at a little chef.
Yeah.
And there was an episode of it where he stopped at a little chef and accidentally walked into the road, and it was like a cop procedural. But the fact that it was there was just it's to the Americans in the chat, it's a bit like as you go down the highway, it's every gas station would have a little chef.
It's like it's be like you go everywhere there's a Denny's or something, that's probably the best sort of thing I could compare. But they got all the
motorway restaurants in Germany as well. That's what I'm thinking of.
But the thing is now it's like all the fast food joints kind of got into the service stations, which killed the little chefs. Because the thing with the little chefs was you weren't going to get people who stopping off there for a quick pit stop. You stopped off there, you were stopping for a minimum of an hour because the food could be notoriously slow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
You were taking your time, but not only that,
I'll say
it's known for being quite spendy as well.
That's it. Yeah, it's an overpriced Denny's. As Dog says, that's what it was. You had to remortgage to it, and I'll say this: it was a step up from airline food. I'll say that much. But
what you get in Germany in these joints is actually very, very decent. On the other hand,
they were a bit like a chain of truck stops, but they were clearly. I don't think you'd ever find a trucker in one. No. Because they knew where the better cafes were, where you could have decent bacon and eggs.
Right.
It was aiming for it was clearly aimed at truckers and families passing through, but it wasn't. If you knew where to go off the motorway, you weren't stopping at the Little Chef. You were going off the motorway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's but I love the fact that they just kind of here though that they more or less just fly through and take all these balls off of them. And I like this. I like these self-service places are a good notion.
Yeah. Again, another Little Chef thing where you go with your tray and you shuffle along like school dinners.
Oh, they were little chefs didn't do self-service. I don't, from what I remember, but yeah.
I'm sure I remember being in one and shuffling along with.
There were a service. You go to a service station now; they're very much like that. So, over 3 weeks, he's still not eating. If you ask me, Asterix, he's not normal.
Yeah.
Roman,
to ask for directions.
Yeah. Right. Is this the way to Rome? Got a legionary here who is a little bit pissed. Yeah. Oh.
Cheers. Because that definitely counts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All roads lead to Rome.
No, this is hiccup sounds.
Technically, all roads lead from Rome, not to Rome.
Yeah.
That's a Terry Pratchett joke. Anyway, did you notice his hiccup sounds there?
Hick hop. Oh yeah. That's definitely a pun. That was one 2 things easily.
All
Dog, you are correct, sir.
Yes, you are, Dog. Hick hock. Gaulish wine too much for him. See, this is a historical joke because the Gauls were famous for not watering down their wine.
Ah, okay.
Which the Romans considered barbaric and uncouth because it was so much stronger. Because the Romans drank wine the way we drink soft drinks, but it was always watered down. The wine
Yeah.
was basically there to sterilize the water and to give it a bit of flavor. That's all it was.
Right.
But the Gauls drank their wine neat, like really. And I'm not talking like modern wine that's like 40%. I'm talking concentrated wine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you couldn't handle your drink in Roman culture, it was you were basically saying you weren't a virtuous man. You couldn't handle your drinking very much. That we still kind of have that stereotype of people who were a bit, can't really manage. And it was almost a feminizing trait if you couldn't manage your drink. So when the Gauls drink their wine, get drunk because it's so strong, it becomes this stereotype.
Which I've never quite understood why that not being able to handle your drink is a feminizing trait, because I know a lot of women who could drink most guys under the table. So
right.
So
But what does it mean? What does it mean to be 1/8? I'm not picking up on that joke.
I'm not
I've
quite
not
sure
come
that
across
one
that
myself. I've got to say that might be an old one. That one.
Yeah,
that might be an old saying, because I don't. It's not one
it's probably something along the lines of "I'll never drink that much again," or "I'll never."
Yeah.
Right.
Google to the rescue.
Yeah.
It means to have had one drink too many.
Okay.
In military slang, to the presumption being that an average moderate man can safely drink 8 glasses of beer.
I see. Okay.
You've gone one too far.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's not a phrase that's commonly used anymore anyway, because I've never heard it.
It's quite dangerous, that one.
Yeah.
Right.
So where are we? Okay. Dark soon. Yeah.
Is this character, is he meant to be some sort of, I don't want to be insensitive, but it's like he's really got the Gandhi aesthetic going on of he sleeps on a bed of nails, he doesn't eat for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
They're clearly having fun with these assumptions that are made and these stereotypes there.
When did this come out? This is like 87. This came out, wasn't it? So
yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, so it's just a few years after the film Gandhi. So, but I don't know if that was what they were. He's definitely, there is definitely a little hint of Mahatma Gandhi with the character, I think,
especially with the glasses as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we get to the next ones down here. I mean, this is he does have that, the villain here. He does have that Jafar look about him, totally, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does. And I will say as well, there's a lot of quite racist stereotypes in that drawing.
Yeah. This isn't which again we've talked about ad nauseum about the stereotyping in some of these books.
I think a lot of it's French comics in general, but I mean, even the artwork of the princess, who's supposed to be a positive representation, is a bit. I'm gritting my teeth a little bit.
Anyway, where are we plot wise in this?
Yeah, they're still on the way.
Yeah,
so we're still on the way, but we now know why we're going.
I also have to admit, by the way, I had to look up the word pachyderm. I heard it before, but I actually didn't know what exactly it meant. So, because on the panel before, Obelix asks what's a pachyderm.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? What's a pachyderm? Shut up and go to sleep, Obelix. So here we go. They've hit the Mediterranean at least.
Just warning coming up, Noodle. Obviously.
Next page. I'm aware. I know. So yeah, he's giving them. I mean, that's a fairly accurate geographic description of the journey they would take if you were doing it over land.
I did a bit of a calculation, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Ring says he looks almost like a Chinese stereotype with an anti-Semitic nose. So yeah, looks like a bit of a combination, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So anyway, they're flown. They're sort of trying to figure out how he managed to find his way. So he's simple. Just do as the carrier pigeons do.
That explains everything, doesn't it?
Yeah,
we know now. No need to elaborate on that.
We got our pirate friends
coming up, so the usual warning for that when it pops up.
Yeah.
Here we go. Down here, you can see he's back there. So, it's a vacancy. Yeah, drink.
Right.
Not a blessed sail captain. It's a vacancy. That's definitely a Vatican pun of some sort.
Uh-huh.
Flying carpet straight ahead. There's poor pirates. They just can't catch a break, can they? Everywhere they go.
They always run into
but, yeah, and Asterix has recognized them now. And they're throwing out the pirates' treasure.
Yeah. So they get basically they're getting the food for them. Quick, bring up everything edible up on deck. And they said, Asterix sort of says he's that I'm an honest man. We'll pay for our meal, and he flicks him like one coin. Bear in mind, he's just thrown all their treasure over the board. Okay, we just have to be careful with the panel a little bit, but there's there is
there.
Yeah. The joke is that he said it's better than nothing. After all, they might have scuttled the ship, and then the guy says, "They won't get us this easy, Captain. Our honor is safe. I've scuttled the ship."
Yeah, and of course it's our old friend the Numidian pirate who says that. Hence stopping where we are.
Anyway, next thing, I'm gonna have to put this full screen, aren't I? Noodle, the next page, the next one.
Yeah.
Oh
yes. I'm gonna have to zoom out a bit so we can see it all because it's perfect.
Oh, I'll zoom in a bit.
That's we won't get it any better than that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
This is a beautiful image.
This is what I love about this. We go on about this a lot on these. This is what Uderzo does so well.
Yeah.
These landscapes, these buildings, and
that's pretty historically accurate as well, because you've got the Forum in the center here.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Circus Maximus down here.
Mm-hmm.
Campus Martinus is there.
That Arc de Triomphe, by the way.
That's not accurate. Because
that was built by Titus, and that's hundreds of years in the future, or at least 100 years in the future.
Yeah.
In a modern context, the Colosseum would be if the Arc of Titus. No, that must be the Severan arch then, because the Colosseum would be over here where the Arch of Titan is.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah.
I love saying every now and then that Nero didn't kill even one Christian in the Colosseum. Not one, ever.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
It is.
And I mean, this.
I've always heard when I went to Rome, and I've never been able to get this actually confirmed, but I was actually told there that they very rarely, if ever, put the Christians to death in the Colosseum. That it was generally done in the Circus Maximus.
Yeah.
But I've never actually had that confirmed that they never put Christians to death in the Colosseum. But this is basically something I was told on a tour by a tour guide in Rome.
Yeah.
So it's.
I don't think we can categorically say never, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
Because there may have been Christian gladiators who died in the Colosseum as a result of being gladiators.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can never say that there was never a Christian who died in the Colosseum. But much more likely to have been the Circus Maximus.
And I'll say, was the Circus Maximus? But yeah, I believe
6th century BC.
Yeah, that's like the oldest. That was. I mean, that's massive.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, that Circus Maximus still dwarfs most modern sports stadiums, really.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Its capacity.
And I mean, it's fairly accurate for it. Or you could almost use it as a map. I mean, the Senate House is a bit stepped back, and but it's fairly accurate for what Rome looks like, what we know was there.
The beautiful thing about Circus Maximus is you can still walk around it today. I mean, today there are houses on both sides, but you can actually still make out where it was, or very much still is, because it's still roads, and you can go all the way around it.
And if you look up, you can see the Emperor's Palace as well. So it's it's well worth a visit. You don't have to walk around all of it.
Absolutely. Go to Rome if you ever have the chance. It's the most, and I want to go back there once again, at least.
I do. I've
only
ever been to Rome once, and it's one of those things. Yeah, I want to have a little bit more of a look around than what I had last time. So it's.
Yeah, no, I do have to say I was there for a week and I loved it so much. I went back to the Trevi Fountain on my last day and threw another coin in.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. Because I can't leave this city and never come back. It's a beautiful city.
You didn't end up marrying a Roman, no?
No. Although some of the Roman... it seems to be the habit, especially when you're female presenting, traveling alone, that the Roman waiters do try and flirt with you to get you to come in and eat in their restaurant as you stood outside.
They know the tricks. They know their tricks.
They know the tricks.
Okay. So what we got? If they're flying over Rome here, we got Julius Caesar's kind of a little bit sick in bed. He's a bit under the weather.
Oh. This one hasn't aged well given current circumstances, has it?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I will say that is the right name of the deity, though. That is the deity of healing and medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did like the fact that, more or less the doctors tell him, get out, get some fresh air. You'll feel a lot better. You'll feel a little bit better. And then you get the go past on the magic carpet. Hey, Julius, old chap.
By the way, move up just a little bit. It says for how long they have been flying on the big panel at the top.
Oh yeah, after 96 hours flying time.
Yes, because this is a little calculation that I have made. The village is also always shown as being on the very end of the very tip of France, where you have the city of Brest today. So I just looked up the distance between Brest and Rome, and it's 1,511 kilometers. Now they've been flying for pretty much all the time. They made a short stop with the pirates. But this means that they have been moving at an average speed of about 16 kilometers per hour.
That's about matching speed.
They aren't. Well, it is more like running. Actually, it's not marching.
I mean, if you had it's
not quick.
Yeah, it's not fast at all. It's very
slow. No.
Yeah. In Church of England, I think that's about 10 to 12 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's 9.9 miles per hour. So yeah, it's near enough on 10. Yeah, it's near enough 10 miles an hour.
So it's not fast at all.
Not at all.
Cycling speed.
So that's why they don't use magic carpets today. They're simply not fast enough. Found out that jets would be much faster.
Although, for the record, if you're in Rome, don't drive.
I gotta say though, if we could crack the magic carpets, the carbon footprint would go down a lot.
That is true, but they would prioritize they would prioritize speed for sure, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't they? Yeah.
In Rome, they still prioritize speed today, to the detriment of paying attention to when the traffic lights are red.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was just a small point I wanted to make.
Yeah, fair. This has anyone seen that episode of Only Fools and Horses where they go to Hull?
Yes.
And Denzel thinks he's losing his mind because he sees Del Boy in Hull. It's got that vibe, hasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have come out around about the same time as this book, that episode as well. Similar sort of time.
Yeah, because in that one they actually go to Amsterdam. It's the one where they go for diamonds, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when. Yeah, they're to Hull and back. It's called.
Yeah. I've been to Amsterdam. I've been to Zeebrugge. I've been to Hull and back.
Yeah.
Although I can't do it in a London accent, so you get Yorkshire Del Boy off me.
Instead of Del Boy, we're getting Granville.
Yeah. The Gauls and the Asian flu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm already more than half through this.
And we're not more than halfway through the book yet, so we might need to slow down.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to kind of go through it a little quicker if we're not, because obviously we're try and finish it if I can for Rings, to be on time for Rings. But sometimes we do run over a little bit. We try and be a bit courteous to him.
Yeah. So Obelix gets his food, but Cacophonix is kicking off because he doesn't get to read his poetry.
Yeah.
And he fancies himself a high-flying poet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cheers.
And off we go. They're arguing in puns as usual. We're going to count that all as the same one.
Count that all as one pun, because that's just that. Otherwise, you are going to be falling down drunk before the end of this page.
Yeah. Come back and fill the flowing bowl until it doth overrun.
So he starts. What's happening? He's starting his poetry, lyrical singing poetry. Down comes the rain.
And what's his name has fallen off.
Yeah.
The carpet.
Down goes the carpet.
Splush. A ship. Here we go, and it's a Greek ship.
And he speaks in kind of, sort of Greek letters. And if you've ever read Greek, not really.
Yeah, that's the font you use when you want something to seem Greek-ish.
Yeah.
They've done. I've noticed they've done this before with Greek characters, haven't they?
Did they do
it? They did it with the Egyptians as well. With and they did it with
all the speech bubbles, hieroglyphs.
Germans. They do it with pretty much everyone. Yeah, except the British, because you can't really. What would you do? Put a T emoji at the start and the end?
You see, the Danish translation of Asterix and the Brits. The British would speak in a British syntax, which actually made it absolutely hilarious to read and sometimes difficult. But then you had to remember how the British syntax was, and it made sense again. And the same with the Goths. You know, every subordinate. Any subordinate sentence would have the verb at the end, stuff like that.
See, this is probably the very weird thing, because you probably get jokes in like the translations you've read that we don't get. So it's all
But I mean, they could have done the syntax thing with the Germans as well in the British translation, but I guess they didn't. And they didn't do neither in the German translation. I've I mean, I've got German family, and they collected these albums as well. So I've read a couple of them in German as well. So I know which tricks they did and which they didn't.
Yeah, I think a lot of British readers would have been quite confused by the difference in the structure of the sentences if the verbs were moved about.
Yeah, and the thing is,
like Yoda to us, I think.
I think that the reason why it works in Danish is that we are a very, very small language, and we have to learn different languages to be able to get by in the world. So it's much more a part of Danish culture, actually, to pick up at least one foreign language to an extent where you can communicate with people.
We are notoriously bad at learning other languages.
The stereotype of the Brit on holiday is shout louder, maybe they'll understand.
Or that's the shout lang. Or if they do know, like
or gesture wildly.
Well, we just mentioned Only Fools and Horses, didn't it? You know, Monge 2, Rodney. Monge 2.
Monge 2, Rodney. Monge 2. That's our nerve to pap.
Yeah.
Wonderful. No, I've been saved a couple of times by being able to speak German, because in southern, I mean, going as far away as Southern Europe or Eastern Europe, not everyone will speak English. But if they don't speak English, usually they speak a bit of German.
Yeah, no, I went to the Czech Republic and I managed to get by with basic, like smatterings of German and smatterings of Russian for the week.
I mean, the
Polish.
Three that mainly get taught in British schools are for foreign languages, mainly French, Spanish, and German in the main. French and German, maybe more so than Spanish.
My school didn't have German, but we had French and Spanish.
That's interesting.
So yeah, because I'd have loved to take German because I wanted a sort of more Eastern European language. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did French. I could speak passable French at one time, but last time I went to France, I realized how awful I'd got.
Yeah, no, I will say
how much I'd forgotten.
I thought my French was passable until I went to Tunisia.
Yeah.
That was I'm speaking in a second language that I barely speak anymore, and they're speaking in a second language, and it was interesting.
I really love the sound, however, of African French.
It's beautiful. The way they speak is beautiful language, but because I learned French from a French person. And so when I tried to speak French, and I speak French with a Yorkshire accent, so you can just imagine.
I remember that's the last time I went. Well, when I went to Peru a couple of years ago, and there was I mean, it was a guy, one of the tour guides. He spoke damn near perfect English, yet that's his fourth language. I think he had two of the native. It was Quechua and was another native language. Then Spanish would have been his third one, and then English.
Wow.
Yeah. So he said that, you know, in terms of I forgot the name of the other indigenous language that he said, but I mean Quechua is sort of fairly widely spoken for. Quechua and Spanish are the two the two main ones.
Right. Probably not Nahuatl. That's more a Mexican thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, where are we got to? Oh yeah, that our what's his name here has fallen into the he's fallen into a jar of what I don't know what that is. It's alcoholic. It's wine. By the look of it.
Is it wine or is it meant to be ouzo?
Goodness knows what that is supposed to be.
Can't you tell it's wine if there's any left? Again, this is what I meant by sort of there is this culture, and it is something British people inherited. And I think the French kind of inherited it as well, as outsiders can't quite handle their drink, or they drink it neat. Because the wine in that time would have been transported neat, so you can get more of it, and then you water it down when you
Ring saying, yeah, that sounds about right, Ring. That does sound about right.
Yeah.
I've got my camera partly in front of the screen that I'm looking at, so I have to go like this when I maybe I can actually compensate whenever you share a comment, but I don't know if I. Oh, that'll work. I don't look too stupid. More than usual. I mean, and that's bad enough, but still.
So yeah,
So
we've got.
they've got to try and revive him here.
Yeah.
A lot of help I get, you know, and you got one. So you got one. I got one. One guy who's obsessed with food, and another was singing. Asterix is getting, you know, a bit fed up now.
Over the sea to India, carry the plaid, who'll rescue the king.
And he starts a rain. He starts a full-on storm.
Yeah. Whoops. And then they land.
Yeah.
To think of the song and dance Odysseus made about the sirens.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good one. I like that.
It is
fantastic. It's a great joke.
But isn't he called Ulysses in English?
Yeah, Ulysses is the Latin name.
Yeah, that's the right. Like Romans called him.
The Romans called him Ulysses.
Yeah. Okay, so you were actually told he was called Odysseus.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in more modern context, most people, because it originated as a Greek myth, you'll find most classicists use the Greek name. Because
as far as I know, in Germany, they still call him Ulysses.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the German.
But we still, but strangely though, we like with other Greek myths, we still generally people will say Hercules, which was the Roman, which is the Latin, instead of Heracles for the hero.
You can call him Plato without the N at the end.
Yeah.
Aristotle.
Yeah.
Instead of Aristophanes, but I mean,
I think we do just kind of we pick the one that was easiest to pronounce.
Yeah.
So that seems to be the logic with it. That's easiest to pronounce by English speakers.
I'll just say I'm going to try and use Heracles more often than Hercules now because mainly just to not associate with a certain tosser that played Hercules on Twitter these days.
Right. Cheers to that.
Cheers for that.
Good thing Cena is still Cena, I guess, in Latin as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
Kenna, because the C is always a hard K sound in Latin, and it's the S that's more of a soft sound.
Right, you're right. Yeah, they may be. I wouldn't be able to say for sure, but an X at the beginning of a Latin word is unusual.
The X is probably Greek because the X in ancient Greek is pronounced with a CH sound, a ch sound.
Okay, it is. I don't know. Oh, yeah, right. But you actually have an X. You have the key sound, which looks like an X, but you also have an actual X, which is kind of which looks like a bit like the number 3.
Yeah.
And it would be the number 3 letter that is used at the beginning of Xena and not the key.
Yeah. Thinking about it, so it's pronounced Xena and not.
I've got to step out for like just 2 minutes. You just want to keep the stream going because you've got the.
Yeah, sure. So here we go. Anyway, when I tell Odysseus my own Odyssey, he'll never believe me. Again, for anyone who's never actually read the Odyssey, even if you read it in translation, I do recommend it.
It's a good story.
It's a good story. It stands up.
And also, there are many adaptations of it where it's not all verse because it does get tedious sometimes to read it all in verse. But there are renditions of it which are in prose. So one could go for that.
If you're not interested in the family histories of every Roman in the world and every Greek in the world, read an abridged version. That goes for the Iliad and the Aeneid as well. Read an abridged version if you're not interested in family histories.
It's very much like the Bible. I mean, you will understand the Bible even if you don't read all the genealogies.
Yeah, and with the genealogies, it's the reason they did that is very much. It's not like in the Bible where it was done to keep records. It was because these stories were added on and added on. They were living documents right up until the late Roman period. Right. And emperors would claim, "Oh, I'm descended from such and such a god." Famously, Caesar thought he was descended from Venus.
Venus, aye.
Yeah. And obviously Venus was Aphrodite in the original Greek, who was the mother of Aeneas, who, of course, supposedly founded Rome, or at least his grandsons did. So that's what that harks back to, and so they'd create this entire genealogy of the emperors and just drop the god in at the back end of it.
I never got to read
the text.
I never got to read the Aeneid, or whatever it's called.
The Aeneid. It's basically a Roman fan fiction of the Odyssey. Or
yes, I didn't know that, and we know exactly who wrote it. While we say that Homer wrote the Odyssey, that is not entirely. It's probably not entirely true. It's a collection of many works, and if there ever was a Homer actually involved in compiling it, is actually highly doubtable. We don't know if he really was there, but we know exactly who wrote the Aeneid,
and we know exactly why as well. It was a piece of political propaganda. But still well worth a read, because again, if the Odyssey is too dense for you, but you want a similar plot and storyline without all the extra bits, read the Aeneid.
The Romans were very good story writers, by the way. Actually, much better than the Greeks.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But it was just that one. I think it had an impact on the fact that I'm not entirely sure Virgil was as sympathetic to the person who commissioned him to write this piece as he was pretending to be.
Again, I wouldn't be able to say because I haven't read it. But that would be an interesting thing to look into. But when I've read, ancient Greek writers, for example, Hesiod. He's
the theogony, yeah.
The theogony is an absolute mess. It's all over the place, and the bit that most people know, the beautiful bit where he talks about how the world came into being and the gods came into being, that is just a very, very small part where he's actually just ranting one diatribe after another about the people that he owes money or whatever it is, and a part of that whole diatribe is for some reason how the world and the gods came into existence, because of course,
the destruction of Kronos,
and Greek literature is like that. It's all over the place. It's a complete train wreck. While the Romans very well know what they're going to write about and do it systematically and in a very orderly fashion.
Yeah, it's very plotted, and it's very, you can see the origins of things like the 3-act structure and other sort of form.
Yeah. So let me just plug something that I did. Was that last night? Yeah, that was last night. I have started with a bloke called Shane Isgrig. He's the host, one of the hosts on the Atheist Experience, sometimes at least. And we have started reading Genesis. So if you look up Shane the Skeptic in one word on YouTube. Yesterday evening, my time would be afternoon for him because he lives in Texas. We read through the first 4 books of Genesis, and then we just ran through the Genesis 5 because that's a genealogy. We don't want to go into detail about that, and we're probably going to pick it up again. And
I would love to do a comparative piece at some point on the theogony in Genesis.
I'll be into that.
I'd be surprised if it hadn't already been done, to be fair.
What's that again?
I'd be surprised if it hadn't already been done, to be fair.
Don't be so sure. I mean, there are a lot of people reading the Bible, but there are way too few people reading Greek literature or Roman literature for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, the classics is currently on a decline because they've been gatekeeping way too long. And working class people like me are not entirely... I mean, you get people who are very welcoming and very nice, and, you know, I love those people to death, absolutely. But when you start getting into the academic world in classics, it's still very elitist.
It is.
And it's very male-dominated as well, which is irritating.
I'd love to do that. Absolutely love to do that. And I even read Hesiod in the original Greek.
You're doing better than me. I can't read ancient Greek.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that neither anymore because I absolutely friggin' hated it. But I was able to. That was Hesiod was one of the few things that actually went well reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can read Greek. Yeah.
Right. We're still sort of at the same point, aren't we?
Yeah,
We're probably going to get
point.
back on here. Yeah.
Other stuff. We went on a tangent.
Yeah.
So anyway, off we go. The dog found the carpet.
Yep.
Where it landed. I love
one point that I didn't make before. I just wanted to say, the Book of Genesis is a complete train wreck, just like the theogony is. Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah.
Okay. You said about drinking responsibly, Hop. So you say that don't drink and try to fly a magic carpet.
No, don't ever.
No, don't ever drink and fly. Unless someone else is directing. Again, with the villains, just to point out that these tropes, this is what we mean by it looks like they had an impact on Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because it looks like I've said this before. I mean, it's a kind of a shame because Charlie Hebdo at one time was quite a radically left-leaning publication, but it's gotten very bad over the last 10-15 years. Obviously it doesn't excuse the attack on that was discussed. That was disgusting, but I couldn't quite get behind the Just Sweet Charlie thing just because of how bad some of their cartoons are.
Yeah. I mean, from a free speech point of view, I think there's a line between setting out to cause offense and speaking the truth.
I went completely behind the Je suis Ahmed movement, which never became that famous, but
was it Denmark with the fish?
Don't remember exactly, but Ahmed was the name of a police officer who actually tried to stop the terrorists for doing their attack, and he was a Muslim. He was a Muslim police officer called Ahmed. So I went behind the Je suis Ahmed movement.
Yeah,
I don't remember all the fish though.
Now,
was it in Denmark where there was it must have been about 15 years ago now, there was a couple
the original Muhammad cartoons, yes,
the Muhammad cartoons depicting Muhammad and everyone kicked off. I knew it was either it was one of the sort of Nordic.
Yeah, it was Denmark. It was Denmark. We shouldn't go into that rabbit hole right now. I'll definitely. I mean, if you want me to tell a story about it, I will, but not on this stream.
I think that could be another stream in itself going into that too.
We're in Athens now. Notice that would be 150 hours flying time, and I did the calculations on the distance between Rome and Athens as well. And now they actually move at about 20 kilometers an hour.
So they spread on.
But of course, they were sailing some of the time. So they were probably moving quickly when they were sailing, even though they had to go around Italy.
Again here, though,
this callback to the Olympic Games.
Yeah, and this, I've got to say, I love this picture so much, I decided to make it the thumbnail for this.
Yeah. I would say as well, the splash pages of the major cities in this comic book do feel like someone looked at this and thought, I want an excuse to draw all these beautiful cities. I need to make them fly over them.
Right.
Well, I do like the fact, though, as we get into this, when we get to the next page, we've seen this obviously now. You said we had the call back to the Olympic Games one. And we're gonna have a little callback to Asterix and the Black Gold in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they're obviously getting towards the Middle East now, and Arrow.
I love he's holding his helmet while he's falling.
Yeah. Holding his hair. Yeah.
And they're
they're still shooting at us.
What happened? And this is you can remember this. What happened? The joke in the do we look like Hittites to you? Do we look like Sumerians to you? You know, from Asterix and the Black Gold, with the arrows in the desert. That is hey, PJ's here.
Yeah. Hi, PJ. So and then now we're back in India. So
yeah.
And we are 300 hours from 0 hour.
Yeah. She's gonna be sacrificed or whatever, and they're obviously as well. This guy, the two villains here, that are plotting to overthrow the Raja in the process of this as well. You see, so that's you got to remember this.
I am amused by this. Oh, flying carpets are one thing, but rainmaking is sheer science fiction.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that's the line.
Hey, Nerdy is there as well.
I do love how he seems to be playing tour guide a little bit as they're flying along. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
More information. We are now flying over Persia.
Yes.
You almost hear it in that tour guide or co-pilot voice.
Mm.
The local time is, and the local temperature is.
Yeah. And they
love this bit.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with me. And they go through the storm, and they get hit by lightning, and the carpet's coming in for a crash landing now.
Carpet's on fire.
Yeah.
Being held, got to hold it steady.
Mm-hmm.
And splash into the water. What luck I managed to divert our flight path towards the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we're all washed up. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Drink.
And pause. What cold water on us.
I'm sticking on coffee. I'm probably sticking on coffee until we get onto Ring Stream, to be honest.
Yeah.
I might open beer then.
I should have brought a spare carpet along. Maybe we can get it mended. Okay, warning for the merchant that they meet here.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go on. Go ahead.
It's a little bit anti-Semitic, and he's strongly hinted to be a Jewish merchant of some description, and it's a little bit anti-Semitic in the way he's drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So fair warning for that one.
So I really love Obelix wearing the carpet as a poncho.
Yeah.
Definitely. That is
I think one drink for this entire page should have done it, by the way. Otherwise we would die. Yeah, it's a carpet maker washing one that is finished weaving. So it's Persian carpets. But if you look at the way he's drawn, there's definitely, famously Persian carpets were very,
Yeah, the Persian rugs. Yeah.
Well, the hat that he's wearing is actually a Phrygian headwear. I don't know what those people are called in English. I'll just look it up quickly. But probably doesn't exist the word on Google Translate.
Do you know the name of the country they're from, or?
No, it's an ancient people. I think they were native to Turkey, and they're called Frigs or something like that. But I'm not sure, and that's the headgear that he's wearing. So let me just see. Of course, it isn't in any of the online dictionaries that I've got access to.
Probably maybe the Anatolians or the Mongols.
Not Mongols, but Anatolians might be correct.
Yeah. So
probably Anatolians anyway.
yeah.
So
yeah, they were from Anatolia, definitely. Now we're getting closer. I found a Wikipedia article about them, so I'll just have to switch to English to know what they are called. The Phrygians, yeah, but with PH.
Okay, yeah.
So he's wearing the headgear of the Phrygians, as far as I can see. So, but I mean, again, they're lumping Arab and Indian culture together, so they might, but as well lump Phrygian and Semitic culture together as well, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and this is interesting that in India they've got a water clock.
Yeah.
Because the water clocks do seem to have developed independently in various places.
Yeah.
Although they do use the Greek name for it.
Well, I believe firearms even sort of developed independently in India as well as Europe. So it's I have to check on that though. I don't,
Yeah.
I'd have to double check that.
Yeah. Yeah, you find it independently in North America, Africa, India, ancient Babylonia, Egypt. So it was obviously something that it's like just tiny tangent. It's like pyramids developed independently all over the world, not because of some great conspiracy or because of aliens, but because that is the most efficient way to pile stones.
So I just say they're kind of haggling now. This guy's haggling with them over the carpet. Now
this has got very Monty Python vibes. As this the haggling?
Yeah. Come on, haggle.
I don't have the hair spare part.
Yeah. And they said it's only going to cost 1 silver talent for a new carpet, which he said that's like 30 kilos of silver. So they think they're kind of screwed at this point.
Yeah.
They got the Scythian pirates that are coming. These aren't these are people from the Crimea. Is it
right?
Is it references here?
The Crimeans, the Scythians are coming.
Yeah.
The pirates. And Obelix is thinking about stealing a carpet. Now, this is a very interesting panel with the various.
Yeah.
I mean, the horses are very nicely drawn.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, other than that, moving swiftly on. I think
so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, they're given a new carpet to go and deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
So a bit of action at last. Obelix is thinking.
Yeah.
Are you planning to
say one by Ahura Mazda?
By the way,
love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mazda.
Could you plow through the ranks of the Scythians? Are you planning to scythe through them, guys?
Right.
Again, another very visually interesting fight scene here. He's very good at those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great goddess, demons from the sky. I do like the fact that they do recognize that not all ancient people followed the same sort of pantheon.
Yeah.
And they do seem to make an effort to try and be, even in just passing comments like this, be kind of in the right region.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one thing you've got to give them the writers credit for on this, I suppose. That
Yeah, I will say this comment from Obelix, I prefer the Romans, they last longer, is definitely a commentary on the length of time that empires have been going, I think.
Yeah.
So
but they get themselves a nice. Obelix gets himself a nice roast camel as a reward there as well.
yeah.
Um,
and then we have this. He gets his roast camel, but look what they feed Cacophonix and Asterix. Only poor man's fare they have fish eggs. We call it caviar.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a commentary on how expensive caviar is now.
Of course it is.
And he's saying one of the doors by Hermas that it's a nod to Zoroastrianism.
It is very much, yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that that's definitely, this whole thing with the caviar is definitely a commentary on the gentrification of local foods and local specialties. It happens in local cultures.
I remember one time like lobster was a sort of poor man's food, wasn't it? So
yeah. It was like, it was considered to be the sort of vermin of the ocean. People found out about it. It's happening now with some Caribbean foods. Oxtail is getting more and more expensive in the UK, whereas a few years ago it was poor man's food. So yeah, it does happen.
It's a bit like, it's kind of like the it reminds me of that joke again. It only fools and horses joke when Mike's serving a little bit of food in the pub. This is basically some stew there, and like I think it was I can't remember who it was. It was someone like Denzel and Trigger or whatever. He said, "Oh, I'll have a bit of your stew." He says, "That's £1, please." And then there's a couple of like the yuppie types in there. And he sells it to them. How much is that? Oh, the casserole, that's £2, So he's selling it for double the price and saying it's like a special casserole,
Yeah.
It's just basic stew.
Yeah, it's just ethnic food that's been taken and just made to sound, because rich people like a story with their food for some reason. So yeah, they're filled up again and they must make up for lost time. So the leader in India is thinking about abdicating to save his daughter's life. So
yeah, which is kind of the plan, I think.
Yeah,
in a way. This is kind of the plan that these villains are.
Yeah, and just to make it absolutely plain that we don't miss the Arabian Nights reference, we get this comment of, it would take 1,001 nights to save him and the princess now.
Yeah.
And no knights in shining armor, which is another pun. So cheers.
Cheers.
I'm gonna need a top up.
Okay. But the valiant Persian carpet flies on, crossing baking deserts and high mountain peaks. I love this thing on the next page here. Okay, who wants to tell? Top of the next page, the map. Who wants to say what this is a reference to?
Indiana Jones.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. Right.
So that's fun. It's just a very pretty map as well, I think.
Yeah.
It is.
But it's I think this has been about the time the second Indiana Jones movie was out, be around about this time as well. So which I believe was set in India as well. So
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So this one I have my issues with, this particular panel. Because the Ganges is a sacred river, yes, but there's kind of it's a little bit snaring, is this panel.
Yeah.
And it's still an existing religious practice, which makes it a little bit,
Yeah,
I think
kind
it's
of
appropriate for Obelix to have made that comment.
It's punching down a bit, that one, isn't it? That
That
joke.
is punching down.
It is.
Down. Which is, you know, but they turn up to the city there when
I will say as well, this architecture looks far more Arab than Indian. You know, there's similarities certainly, but it's definitely based more on Arab architecture than anything else.
Right, you've got these tall, slim towers. Now, the name for those escaped me for some reason. But it looks more like a mosque. It does, however, not have the central dome.
Yeah.
It does have the. Oh, why am I? Why is that escaping me now? Minarets.
Yeah. And if you have a look at things like, is it the Sophia, the Hagia Sophia? It's very sort of, it's more reminiscent of that than anything in India, I would say.
Yeah. But again, the central dome is missing.
Yeah, that's missing as well. Yeah. He's got the goals on board. Lucky break.
Right.
Really? So we get a visual pun here of they run straight into the steps and they should have watched that step.
Watch the step.
It looks like Scummer's Wi-Fi just crashed, so we'll keep it going until he gets back.
Yes, or we won't get finished in time.
Yeah.
20 minutes left.
So, as promised, the goals can make it rain. May the 30 million Vedic god carry them to Nirvana. I don't know enough about Indian religion to say how accurate that comment is. I would hope someone did some research somewhere.
That's
my Wi-Fi crashed there for a minute or so. It's kicked me out of the stream.
Sometime the concept of nirvana is a completely different one than the concept of heaven in Christian tradition. So that's whatever you want to call it, cultural appropriation, or
kind of the once you've been reincarnated enough times and you've earned the right to enter or something.
But what happens is you don't really enter anything. You cease existing. That's what's going to happen. So basically, what I as an atheist believe is going to happen when I die is basically nirvana. I believe I'm not going to exist anymore. So we don't even need a religion for that.
Fair enough. Yeah. So the hours are running out, and would you like some refreshments before you work your miracle? And of course, Obelix ain't saying no to that. So the miracle worker, they're all gathered to watch the miracle worker.
Yep. He's finally getting his big audience. Cacophonics.
Yeah.
He's always wanted that big audience that are going to appreciate him.
Yeah. So.
And
Phoenix goes to play, and he's lost his voice.
Yeah.
Of course he has, because we've still got a third of this book to go through. So.
Yeah. Can't just turn up and win like that, can they?
No. Never. So, and Asterix is losing it as well. Away from the human injury.
Yeah. We are going to have to try and get through this last thread this fairly quickly, because I've just cut an eye on the time here. So.
Yeah, Cacophonics caught a cold. So they summon the doctors. Psychosomatic case, and there's a lot of different theories floating around. Essentially, I think it's a comment on every doctor will diagnose what's familiar to them.
So it has to be put into a mixture of elephant milk and elephant dung and elephant hair. That's what. Yeah. So
That's,
I will say as well, that joke about the doctors, it's very reminiscent of any given episode of House MD. So just that's what that is. So wild boar aren't sacred, but the cows are. So there we go. And they've got elephants, and so here we are there.
That elephant is way too big to be an Indian elephant, by the way.
Yeah.
The ears, however, are about the right size. So the way you can distinguish African and Indian elephants is that Indian elephants are significantly smaller, and they also got smaller ears. And the ears of that elephant is about right. However, the rest of the creatures way too big.
Yeah.
They got the spy following them there as well, just panel beforehand. I noticed. I did wonder. They never quite went there with this, but I did wonder if they were going to sort of get into like Fuggays types or something in this, but they never quite went there with this.
They never quite went there, did they? So
the tusks are of the right size, by the way. They're smaller in Indian elephants as well. So at least there's that.
Yeah.
So that's how he cured the elephant, which had the same ailment as Cacophonix allegedly has.
But they're so they pick it. So of course they push it over the tree. Dogmatics doesn't like it. He loves trees, doesn't he? So
Dogmatics loves trees here. Then we've got your elephant who can be cured by blow back down the trumpet, and puns galore. So cheers.
Yeah, right.
And Cacophonix is like, no, thank you. I'll take the first prescription.
That's I'll take the bathing elephant shit over the kissing an elephant, basically.
Yeah. The Gaulish bard is at Howdoos. He'll be on his own tonight. So
one thing I actually kind of like is the elephant guy, elephant trader, whatever he is, asks if he can have Obelix, if he can buy Obelix. And it's kind of the slave trade put on its head.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, the slave trade in ancient times, we've discussed this previously, can be. It wasn't quite so.
It wasn't race-based the same way that it was later on.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. So it's a disgusting smell, which you'd expect. And then he's been kidnapped, and he's been taken to the sanctuary of the elephant's graveyard in the heart of the jungle. And then. Obelix is complaining because he's not had breakfast.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And Asterix is insulting his intelligence, which is kind of mean, actually. Asterix, calm down.
He kind of
can.
He kind of can be at the times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't like. I just the drawings of the two villains are just a bit racist, aren't they? They are just a bit fucking racist.
Yeah. This is this late enough to be a Lord of the Rings reference?
Yeah, hardly.
The books.
The books, of course, but no. The films, no. This is way earlier.
Yeah. So
I like them then mentioning the many gods, and I mean that is important. Though actually at this time, I mean the number of Indian gods have increased over time, and the thing about the extreme amount of Indian gods is more due to India being a big country and there are local gods everywhere.
Yeah, which was
rather than having many gods.
The Mediterranean empires, local cities would have a patron deity. even households would have an individual patron deity who was the patron head of the household.
Well, I mean, that was very much. I mean, we've been there was the little bit of excavation on there. There's not an awful lot of the city where I come from, Southampton. There's not an awful lot of the Roman settlement now. It's basically one wall. So, but they found something there a number of years ago, like where there was a reference to a deity, which we think was just a local deity to the area, maybe a Brit, like a British, not even like one of the well-known. We just think it was a local. So this was I mean, this is nothing uncommon in those times. It's just that's more survived throughout India than what it has in like where monotheism's kind of become a bit more dominant in religion in Europe and so on. So
so we've got them invoking various deities in what essentially looks like a forerunner to a magical jewel of some form or other.
We won't mention it. We won't mention it, but
because it's not this channel's punching bag. So Dogmatics picks up the scent when they realise Cacophonix is gone and they're being led away. This very much it gives me Lion King vibes. Does this?
What vibes?
The elephant.
Lion King. Okay, it's actually giving me vibes from one old Tarzan movie with what's his name, the German swimmer Johnny Weissmuller.
Yeah.
Right.
So now we've got a royal tiger. That Obelix promptly punches on the nose.
Yeah, a royal tiger. And he's definitely like trying to up the offer for Obelix now. I'll swap your friend for 10 elephants.
Yeah. And then we've got the
we got the snake that he hits big python.
Yeah, this has got very much.
Actually, be careful about mentioning hitting snakes there. Hops as one might be listening.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that. I have to admit.
Just the combination of animals and the progression of it. Is anyone else getting Jungle Book vibes?
Yeah, but you got
right.
You got the
tiger snake.
You got a monkey that kidnaps Dogmatics. Obelix takes him out of the tree, and he just does it. And he does actually say, "Their Dogmatics have got you out of there, and I didn't even have to knock the tree over." See?
Yeah.
And then
rhinoceros.
Yeah.
What did the poor rhino do?
He got in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look. He even looks like he's trying to be friendly with Obelix. Poor thing.
Poor thing. So they find the spy, question him in that very traditional Obelix way.
Yeah.
And off they go, hijacking an elephant on the way.
I guess the rhino had to be a device for a running gag.
I'm guessing so.
Yeah. And then lots of puns here about trumpeting along and elephants moving aside.
I'm going to finish this one now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cacophonix seems to be having the time of his life. The elephant thought he was one of them because he smelled so bad.
Right.
I knew I had nothing in common with those pachyderms. He's alive, that's the main thing. And now we've got 2 hours till 0 hour. And the preparations for the sacrifice are already underway. They appear to be building a gallows of some description.
It's amazing how they suddenly end up quite topical, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah. So off we go. 30 minutes before 0 hour, and the goals have been the elephants are giving Cacophonix a shower. The bard still lost his voice.
Yep.
And so they're
So
giving some
Cacophonix-
magic potion in a last-ditch attempt to try and
Right.
strengthen him up.
And this is an interesting thing. You get a little interesting thing here because a lot of the time throughout all these fights and that, you don't often see Cacophonix in the fight scenes too much, do you? When they're bashing the Romans.
No, you never do. It's kind of implied in this book that he never gets the magic potion.
Yeah, which is interesting.
The princess is going to be sacrificed here.
Down to the last 5 minutes.
Yep.
And to be in her defense, she's being very composed about all this.
Yeah.
She's.
And then Asterix jumps in at the last minute to stop the axe fall.
Last second.
Literally last minute. Talk about a last minute stay of execution.
Yeah. And it's like I knew I could trust. God sees these blasphemous men, and then he gets seized and taken away on it for a little ride on the carpet himself,
and let go.
And this is it. Cacophonix, the magic potion really does work wonders, Asterix. So you get the feeling, don't you?
Yeah.
You
He's
get
never had it before.
Yeah, you don't see him in the fights, do you?
No, you don't. But he seems to be fairly handy.
Yeah. And he starts singing, and here comes the monsoon.
Yeah. Okay.
Miracle. And
so many puns. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I love the one there. Sheer science fiction, that idiot said.
Yeah. Where we're looking. Yeah. Going to be Raja instead of Raja, that crook said.
Yeah.
Yes, that's and of course, and he even says at one point we went over that he was going to be Raja instead of the Raja, just like his cousin is no good.
Yeah.
So there's a very tangible reference to one of the other Goscinny comic books from those days.
Mm-hmm. And of course, they get their feast in India. They appear to be eating some kind of bird, or possibly
they found boar for Obelix.
Boar, apparently.
And I love the fact, I love the fact the princess here. She actually likes Cacophonix. I could hear you sing forever, Ghoul. And Asterix, don't push your luck, princess. You might get floods out of drought.
Yeah. And Obelix thinking, because I think they may be having a banquet in our village at this moment. I can almost smell it. And if they're having it without us, that's why he's feeling fed up.
And the last panel, I love this.
Yeah.
He has a good nose. And sure enough, a few hundred hours from the valley of the Ganges by flying carpet, this is going on. And this is just... she's making a speech, and better hope the bard comes back soon because they've not had any rain for a while.
Yeah. And I love this in the bottom corner though.
Yeah.
Fully automatics in the bottom corner, looking a bit dejected.
Yeah.
He hasn't got Cacophonix to beat up.
He doesn't.
Which does make you think that maybe the battling between them is yes, it gets harsh, but it's more like a sibling rivalry than anything else, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Okie doke. So,
we made it in time.
We made that. We did. So, thoughts on that one? Start with you, Noodle.
I like it. I like the story. Plenty of puns. I'm nicely. I don't want to guess what my blood alcohol content is right now. It was fun. Some of the artwork, as with the caveat of always, as some of the artwork was incredibly problematic. But I think this one, if you're going to take anything away from this one, you have to take away the landscapes.
Yeah.
This is such a flex for this artist.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
quite clearly just sort of said, I need an excuse to draw all these cities because I'm bored. Let's do this.
Okay.
And it did, I do like it. Not quite happy with the conflation of Arab and Indian, but again, it's a comic book, and I would normally give it the benefit of the doubt on the malice side of it, but we've had that discussion before about Asterix and Obelix and Uderzo in particular. So,
Hops. You obviously read this before, so
yeah,
reading this.
I also really like it, and there are the problematic bits, and that's annoying, really annoying, because it's otherwise a very good story, and I choose to still like it a lot. I actually remember when I was a small kid, and we were sitting around the table eating, and we were talking about the Asterix comic books, and my father told how that Goscinny had died, but the artist Uderzo, he was going on, he was carrying on, and I mean the stories became surprisingly little impacted by that, because I think that Uderzo alone still made some very, very good stories and some very, very good books, and this one is a testament to that. I think it's still a very good story, and it works very well without the help of Goscinny.
Yeah, I think they lack a little bit of the complexity of the earlier ones, but that's going to happen when you've got one writer instead of two.
Right.
So
Uderzo was capable on his own and this book is very much a testament to that.
A lot of I mean, because a lot of people said the books went downhill under Uderzo's writing. Thus far, I can't really say they have. Maybe as they go on, maybe they do. I mean, it can get a little as time goes on. You can run out of things to do with characters like this. I get that, but
the only thing I will say,
right.
since the change, since the loss of the other writer, they have got very meta, and a lot of the humor does rely on calling back to previous issues, rather than being a new joke or a new commentary.
Yeah,
but the albums became also much longer apart, didn't they? I think the next one is the one where Obelix actually drinks the potion, and a lot of things going to happen. Not going to spoil too much.
Yeah,
but that's almost 10 years later. It's 9 years later or so.
Yeah,
so they became much further apart.
Yeah,
that's who was alone.
Yeah, because we're quite a way into the series now, and as you said, you get to a point where they're not coming out every year or every 2 years. I mean, it used to be it was one annual year came out, didn't there? It was. But this is. I enjoyed this one. Yeah, I look forward to we're doing the one we'll be doing next week. Will be on Noodle's channel.
Yeah.
Hopswatch, thanks for coming along for this one.
Well, thanks for having me. My pleasure.
Yeah. Do you got anything coming up you want to plug quickly?
Yeah, well, there will be a new video in about an hour's time, a beer review, a very special beer review. But I'm not going to say that because you really can't on YouTube, or you'll get demonetized and all kinds of stuff. So I won't tell. Okay. I won't tell in the video neither. You have to just look very closely and see if you can find out.
I'll say, obviously, people, we've got a choice right now because obviously we'll probably be jumping over there in a second. There's the link I put in the chat. One Ring's stream is due to come up very shortly.
One more thing. Actually, it's a birthday / jubilee video, actually, because today my channel is 2 years old.
Oh, congrats.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you.
Congratulations, dude.
Thanks.
Okay. Yes, I said
Blame
one ring.
Neil. Blame Neil, the 64 atheist. He was the one who got me persuaded to actually start making videos.
Neil's good. Neil was cool.
Right.
You'll get. I don't know if Ring's been on Neil's thing yet. I think Neil. I think Neil would like Ring because
he should.
He should because Neil does like deconversion stories.
Yeah.
Right.
So
everyone should be on Neil's channel.
Yeah.
I think have I been on Neil's channel? I know I went on to Purple's and there was another deconversion story I did.
You went to Beelzebub's channel, didn't you?
BML's Bubs, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And not Wally. Wally's good as well.
Yeah, I don't think you've been on Wally's channel, but no. Anyway, right. Noodle, you got any videos you got plans or?
Currently, I don't have an exact time, so keep an eye on my Twitter. But I think what I'm going to do, I've been thinking about it, and I might pick up Death Stranding and tweet a playthrough, put a playthrough of YouTube of the first couple of chapters on that tomorrow. Because I've played it a couple of times now, so I know what I'm doing, so I can probably get it out on YouTube in an hour or so. And I might start making it a regular thing to do that on a Monday. And we'll play through, see what happens. And other than that, secular D&D on a Friday with Ring. And then here, then this stream, but on my channel next week. And we will carry on with Asterix and Obelix.
Yeah. Okay. What have I got? Right. Tuesday, 7 p.m. UK time. I've got Slim Living Cyborg coming on for a chat. So that's what I've got. Obviously, next week I'll be over and we'll be here doing this on Noodles chat. Otherwise, I expect I will probably be on Critical Cripples streams several times this week, doing the critical questions. So that's kind of what I've got coming up. So I am going to wrap this up now because we've kind of gone over already, and I don't like to keep Ring waiting too long. Yeah. We'll sign off. We'll sign off now. So everybody, go straight over to One Ring 42's channel. I put the link in the chat, and we'll be finishing off John Wick. So if you do not turn up, you will be declared excommunicado. That's the it's that simple.
Yeah. Hops, any taglines?
Sorry. Always remember to drink responsibly. But after this stream, screw that anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Scummer.
Wow, this is the stream where I was the only one not drinking. That's got to be a first.
That's got to, yeah. That's a new one. And taglines, as always, from me: take care, be good, and if you can't be good, use your noodle.